Hello, and welcome to Trekkie and Beyond, a Star Trek podcast. I'm Manika.
And I'm Andrea, and welcome to episode 9 of season 1 of Strange New Worlds, All Those Who Wander. And this episode should be titled, Run. When La'an says run, you run. Because this episode is all about the Enterprise going after a distress beacon for another ship and coming face to face with La'an's greatest fear, the Gorn. And we actually get to see it in this episode. And I have to say, La'an, this was your time to run. You all should have ran, and everyone would have survived. I don't know if I can forgive you for everything that's happening in this episode. So, initial reactions. What did you think?
I think Leanne was up for this mission. I think she wanted to take him down. I think that's been her goal for a while, and she's gotten over her fear, and she's had some counseling, and she's ready to step up to it. I also think that Pike thought that he wasn't going to die here, so he was like, okay, let's do this, and let's see how this road trip goes. I mean, he called it a road trip. He was trying to get the team together to go on this mission, and so that's why I feel like I like this episode, but then I also don't like some parts of this episode because it made me so sad at the end. And it's a toughie because I feel like there was a roller coaster ride of the season. There was really funny episodes and lighthearted episodes, and then episodes that were like really shocking or really downers. And then this one was a action-packed thriller. Felt like also, one more thing, I felt like it was a season finale, so I have no idea where they're going to go from here. So it's like, where else could you go? But yeah, let's talk about it. What did you think about the episode?
So I liked this episode. I liked it for all the things I loved and hated about this episode. I feel like in the last couple episodes, I always said I couldn't feel like I connected with any of the characters, as I didn't really care about them. And in this one, it made me actually start to care a little bit about the well-beings of some of the characters, not all of them, because there was one person who died. I'm like, I don't really care. I know who makes it to because unless they can change, unless they don't hold true to the TOS era. We know essentially who's going to make it off of this mission, but that also means there's a lot of other people who don't have that ability. And so there was a lot of high stakes. It was a lot of action. There was a lot of emotion. We got to see a little rage Spock like that. He's like, I let something out. Yeah, you did, boy. There was some me wanting to strangle certain characters, saying, don't talk to Spock that way. You need to watch the words that are coming out of your mouth, because I literally yelled these words at the screen when I saw Sam yell at Spock. He's like, are you a computer? Who are you talking to, little boy? You just got on this ship. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know Spock's life. Stay quiet, because every time you're on a away mission, you do something stupid. Keep your mouth closed. There's a lot about this episode, but my overall is I loved it. I loved every second of this episode. I would really wish this was a two-parter to see to make me want to watch the next one. You got to see a character finally sort of come into her own, and you spent all season talking about this threat, and then you ran the first time, you shut down the first time, and now we see her sort of redeeming herself, at least in my eyes. So I am very excited to discuss everything from this episode. So basically, to give everyone an overview of what this episode is about, it starts off really nice and simple and funny and happy, ha 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 ha, ki, because cadets Uhura and Chinna, they have finished their training and their rotation on the Enterprise, and that they now will be going back to Earth to figure out their next spots. We see that there's an Ensign Duke who gets promoted from ensign to lieutenant, and I want to say in that very moment, in that opening scene, I knew no matter what, those two people were going to die. I don't know why I knew that. Actually, I do know why, because whenever someone is becomes a focal point that you've never heard of in any other episode, and you can tell this is going to be an important episode, okay, those two people are going to die, especially when they were on the away mission and we never heard of them before this episode. Those, if anyone dies, it's those two. Then the episode sort of turns into a distress signal. An Enterprise has to go and make a save, and they have to sort of split up. Number one has to take the Enterprise with these batteries that they are transporting to where it needs to go to, because if they wait, they're going to decay too much to be used. And then the other half of the way mission, and you have a lot of the senior and you have Pike, and then you have the two ensigns. Sorry, now you have the Lieutenant Duke. I owe him a drink for calling him an ensign now. And you have the two cadets. And that again was like, okay, y'all all gonna die, because especially you're on this away mission. And we find out that it was a Gorn who implanted its eggs inside of a Orion who tried to blow himself up to end the Gorn before it escaped from him, and that blew up part of the ship, and the ship sent a distress beacon, and they hear the captain saying, "Don't come." Well, it's too late for that, and then all S-ish hits the fan. So let's discuss this entire episode. So I wanted to do a huge overview because I know we're going to be jumping back and forth between different scenes. So let's get into it. The opening scene, what did you think?
It was, once again, it was Pike being hospitable in the opening scene, in which he's showing leadership and then also congratulating the members of his team. Time and time again, we're seeing Pike in this light. He also has a separate conversation with Uhura about her goals. And I think he was really trying to bring her into the Enterprise family. And once again, she was saying that she's not sure.
I don't know if I like her.
But by the end, we have a little bit more idea of where she wants to go. It was interesting because also Ortega was trying to encourage her to stay. And, people can only say so much. If, someone doesn't want to be there, then goodness gracious. He has a beautiful location there. I mean, the bar is amazing. And he always has excellent food out and available for the crew.
Just perks of being a captain. Apparently he can cook, because according to La'an, it is delicious. So it makes me wonder, what is the replicator making? Because how have you never tasted good food? What did you think about the initial thought process about the away mission and the fact that so many upper level people came? Because in the away mission, there's a good chance someone's going to die. And I feel like they made it too obvious about who's going to die, because they brought in people we had never heard of this entire season until this away mission where the USS Peregrine is like shot down and there's missing bodies. Like, did you think they were going to die? Because I was like, yeah, they're definitely dead at the end of this episode.
Well, I wasn't quite sure where this episode was going, because there were several other times in which it was a trap. And I kept going in, like, it's a trap, someone's going to die, and it didn't happen. So I think I kind of let my guard down a bit. And so I think it wasn't until I heard the captain's log that I realized, oh, this is a mess. And that means that there's like little Gorn, like baby Gorn eggs and Gorn baby. I was like, oh, this is going to be hard to resolve. And those hatchlings, and I wasn't sure how they were going to figure this all out. But back to your original question, I know for sure that some of the main characters were going to stay around.
Yeah,
but I think everyone else is on the chopping block.
There are 3 characters on this episode who could have died: Kirk, Duke, and Chinna, or however you say her name. Those are the 3 people who could have died on this episode, because
Kirk couldn't have died because Kirk is in the original series later.
In my mind, he could have died because I don't like him.
Yes.
Maybe that's just my bias of him. After he spoke to Spock, I wanted him dead.
Yeah, he was a jerk. And every time we see him, he's a jerk. And if I remember correctly, he's Spock's, Spock is his superior.
Yeah.
Because Spock was supposed to train him. So I was like,
So in my mind, there are 3 people who could have died in this episode, and I'm going to repeat this until the day I die: Kirk, Duke, and Chinna. I would have liked the girl to stay alive. Kirk could have got it instead of her, or be completely main. Like, they could change the original series. There's a lot. Like, it's a free country, people. Change the original series. So I need him dead. Anyway, we know whose side I'm on in this episode, apparently. But so while the USS Enterprise, they find the ship and they find the captain's log and they're trying to get the power up, they're able to see that there's 2 life forms. There's a human and then a humanoid type life form. And so they know from after listening to the captain's log, it's the girl that was saved from, or that the USS Peregrine tried to save, but really sort of like, you can't help everyone because now you just brought your whole downfall. You killed 99 people, but neither here nor there. And we see that the alien is protecting the girl. I thought that was really sort of cute that because you could probably tell the girl, the Orion, and the alien, Buckley, I think she called him.
Yep.
Probably had a really tight bond because they all probably were like trapped together with the Gorn. And you could see that the alien probably knew he was infected, but at the same time, he was trying to protect the girl from intruders, from other people hurting them. And they were hiding in the coldest area of one of the colder areas of the ship because the Gorn don't like the cold. And it was nice to sort of see La'an after, she got told off by Dr. Mbenga, to see her connect with someone else who's sort of been through what she's been through, because we see her initial thought process is shoot first, ask questions later. And you can't really do that with someone who's been through what you've gone through, because you want to be this tough person, but while you've been out of it for years and you think you're okay with it, she just escaped. So she's where you used to be, so you can't be that tough person that you want to be. So it was nice to see La'an come to terms or come face to face with someone who was in her same position, who can understand exactly where she's been, help her to understand it's not just her, and to think sort of outside of herself.
Pike's been training her to do that along the way with the last few episodes, for her to also inspire hope with everyone, to get a team together. Like, you can't be all doom and gloom, girl, if you want the crew to follow along. And so I like that aspect. I noticed that her character also became more maternal, and let her guard down, because it's a similar state. I mean, it's a young girl. She was a young girl at one time and so forth like that. But I also like the idea of Buckley, not the fact that he was carrying the eggs, but that there's another species that Starfleet and the Federation hasn't like categorized yet. Like, there's still a lot of unknowns, a lot of exploration that's needed, and they'll bring on a new species even if they don't have all of the details, and they didn't quarantine this individual. So it's similar to back a few episodes ago, in which there was that energy that was brought onto the Enterprise. So whether it's brought on through a Buckley or it's brought on through the pattern buffer, and beaming something on board, it's just part of exploration. It's part of this risk that they're taking on. Unfortunately, Buckley died.
I was very sad to see him go. I really was, because like we know that we didn't see, but we heard and we know that the Orion killed himself to stop the Gorn from getting out, and I think he failed because everyone still died. I don't think he failed. I know he failed because everyone still died. My thing is, why'd you even get on the ship? Unless he didn't realize he was infected, and then like he felt it coming out and then tried to blow up. But we don't have the whole story. So I'm gonna hope he didn't know and didn't willingly put other people into risk.
Right.
Because if you were gonna kill yourself anyway, you could have just stayed where you were.
Right. And the doctor said that the gestation period is different for each species. Yeah. So
Orion said it was weeks, I think. So there's a good chance he may not have known. I like the little quip that Uhura gave La'an when they ran into Buckley and like the universal translator wasn't picking up the language, and she was like, do something, and she's like, that's not how the linguistics work. It's like, if the universal translator doesn't know the language, that means she can't study it. She can't study a language that she doesn't know exists, La'an. And I like how it's sort of funny because La'an is always like the bronze of all the trips. And it's like sometimes the bronze think the brain's like, oh, you're smart, figure it out. That's not how that works. Yeah. Like, I don't hear a language I've never heard. I'm like, oh, I know what that means. To learn a language, meaning someone else has to learn it so I can learn it from them.
I felt like it was a flip because Uhura just completed her training with Leon to learn about security. But in this case, like, Uhura was really training Leon, that you have to read body language. It's not, she can't translate everything like you said.
Yeah.
They have to continue to learn from each other.
Yeah. I have to say the cadet dying, I think, was very stupid on her part because one, the Gorn is either still on the ship or is somewhere around. Two, that it can implant eggs into something. Three, when you hear the Buckley scream, why do you just look up in curiosity? No, where is your sense of like, I need to survive this? This is horror movie 101. Oh crap, the thing implants stuff into someone and I hear him screaming and I see ooze just oozing down. Maybe I'm gonna back up as fast as I can away from this alien to see what's going on and not stand up and wonder and then immediately die. I mean, if you're gonna die, go out in a better fashion, honey. Starfleet, stop trusting people.
Number one, you don't turn your back. Number two, you're always looking for your exit strategy. And she didn't have that. Like, she didn't have a force field. She didn't have like think about what that plan was.
How did you not know the little girl ran away? You're supposed to be watching them. Right. How are you so removed from what's going on? Well, it's literally happening around you because you went down to pick something up. And then what fell on the floor that took so long for you to pick up that you can't understand what's going on? The moment I would have heard him scream, I would have ran. Oh, we're screaming? I'm not going to. I know it's sort of counterintuitive, but it's a Black thing. Oh, screaming's coming from that direction? I'm going to go in the opposite direction. What if they need help? I'm not going to die. It's a horror movie, people. We are in a horror movie in this episode. Right.
But you're thinking about an exit strategy. She wasn't there.
Like, it's different if if you're not in a horror movie setting. Let's be honest, this was a horror movie setting. This was, oh crap, there could be Gorn here that we don't know about. Oh crap, this guy could be infected. Like, oh crap, let me make sure I have my eyes, my back is to a corner and I can see the entire room. Oh, Nurse Trap, I'll be right back. No, the F you won't. You're going to stay right here with me because in the rules of horror movies, you never split up from your friends. Like, come on.
In the containment field, those two individuals, the only life forms on the ship, but those two in the containment field.
And so then also, hey, Dr. Mbanga, if La'an says keep scanning for eggs, keep scanning for eggs. If the person who has spent the most time around the Gorn say keep scanning for eggs and don't trust that the guy's free, especially since you don't know his actual anatomy. You can't talk to him. He could be trying to telling you right now, I'm infected, I'm infected, I'm infected, and you don't know what he's saying. If La'an says, hey, keep scanning him, he could be infected. I did so many scans, I didn't see anything. Do you know what you're looking for? Smart person stupidity of like, oh, I did everything I know what to do. I didn't see anything, so that means nothing's there. Again, alien physiology that you don't know, don't understand, a language you don't know and understand, and the Gorn that you don't know and don't understand. But because everything you did was what you know, you don't expect any danger. Stupid. Always assume the worst.
Yeah. So the problem is he was too technology dependent. Mm-hmm. All he had to do was lift up the sleeve, look underneath the hoodie, like, look at the skin. Don't just rely on the scan. Mm-hmm.
Okay, people, we're getting a little heated and we're supposed to be a fun episode, but it's also horror movie rules and I hate dumb horror movies. So we have some things to discuss, some good things, some bad things. Some people want to get popped in the mouth. Some people want big hugs. Let's talk about people who want to get popped in the mouth. So, while we see that Spock is with Kirk and Duke, and they are sort of like, I think this is before they know like the real Gorn is like actually like on, like there's more Gorn on the ship. They start hearing noises and we see from the Gorn's point of view that he's like the one of the little baby ones is looking down the access point right down at Duke, and right out of a horror movie just jumps down and starts devouring Duke's neck. I have some questions about this because we see how tiny the Gorn is. Like literally at this point it could fit in my hands. Yeah. But it felt like it was was there a bigger one already there that dragged Duke away? Or did that small little thing drag that grown man away? What did you think? Because I don't know.
Yes, they kept growing, like getting bigger. The only way I could explain this in my head is that after they fight off another Gorn, they get bigger. So right out coming out after they like I don't know,
Bust out of
they came out
Buckley,
of Buckley, like they
Alien,
started. Sorry,
like from the movie Alien, those little alien things burst out of the chest.
yeah, I can't say
Ugh.
just say like I don't
Ugh.
know.
Ugh. I
Yeah. After Buckley died and it burst out of Buckley, like they started fighting each other. And I think one Gorn killed another Gorn when they were right there. And so maybe that one started to get bigger because it seemed like only a few hours that they were on that planet and it just kept growing bigger, bigger and bigger. I don't know how else to explain it.
Because like my only thought is the Gorn that was inside of the Orion somehow survived. But at the same time, if it survived, why was Buckley and the girl still alive? Unless it didn't need to feed anymore. I don't know. Like I'm so confused about
because they were in that really cold place.
That is very true as well. They were in a very cold place as well. We see that Duke is like dragged. No, because like it's no answer for us on that one, people. But we see that Duke is like dragged away and Spock is having like a crisis what to do. And then like Spock in his ever so logical way says something, which granted I can understand it could be sort of considered wrong, but Kirk, who is full human and full like emotion and full like one of the guys, starts yelling at Spock, calling him basically a computer. And when I say I don't need Kirk alive anymore after that conversation.
Kirk is also a xenoanthropologist. So he should understand that different cultures react differently. I get frustrated when it's folks' profession and they're not grasping this level of intelligence and applied skill. Like it's just frustrating.
Because like we understand and we learn that the Gorn can hide after like the M'Benga does like an autopsy on one of them. We learned that the Gorn can genetic makeup allows them to hide from sensors, which one would tell me in a horror movie, you leave everyone who's ever been exposed by themselves because you don't know one where if a Gorn ever did affect someone. Two, I would have left the freaking ship behind at the end. I would have just blown that ish up from the sky. Because again, just because you think you destroyed everything doesn't mean you did. Kirk losing his ish, one tells me you're not ready for the position that you're in. Spock wasn't disrespecting Duke. He was stating a fact. And yes, he may not like the fact that he stated, but it was a fact. And it's a fact that actually everyone needs to know and understand when coming into contact with them in the future. You cannot always rely on your sensors. Two, if Spock didn't put Kirk's face through a wall, I wish he would have. Because you don't know. It's one of the things of you don't know how someone's feeling based off of their words. Mm-hmm. Spock knows how to carry himself in public. Spock is known for being, one, he is a Vulcan. He was raised on Vulcan. His emotions and his words don't always correlate. So Kirk, I just want to talk to you in a corner by yourself. I just want to have some words with you. Because don't talk about my Spock that way. Because he was very broken up by Duke's death. You could tell that it broke something, it fractured something inside of him by seeing Duke literally yanked out of his arms. And Vulcans are strong. And he was literally yanked out of Spock's arms to his death. You don't think that he wasn't upset by this? Kurt, think outside yourself for a moment. Whew, I'm sorry. I'm a little annoyed with him. I don't support violence, but only to fictional characters like Kirk.
Yeah, Kirk needs a timeout, actually, more than that.
But call him a pointy-eared computer one more time and I will beat the brakes off of you, boy.
But also, back to what we have learned about the Gorn for a few episodes, like in that More mission, like they were able to fight each other to kill off one whole ship. And their ship was able to go underneath the radar. They had to go to that wormhole or a separate place and maneuver differently in order to use their a version of radar to find out their location. So they're sneaky, and he should have realized that. And they're not in the. This is extraordinary times. This is just craziness. Slow your roll, Kirk. It's gonna be okay. Hold your temper. So I was taken back by that, and I haven't liked Kirk since like the second episode with the egg thing. So it didn't help me with more buy-in for him. I'm also wondering though, is this is the same Gorn that was those creatures were controlling that ship and that whole thing?
Okay, because I thought I was stupid. I thought I'm not gonna bring this up. I think I'm stupid. Okay, words are failing me right now because how do they control the ship? How are you not able to attack a full? How is none of you able to take down a full-grown Gorn? How are they able to have cognitive conversations with the signs and everything of knowing what's going on? When do they go to school to learn how to fly a freaking ship? Like, are only the kids like dog-ish, and then adults like what happens?
That's what I'm wondering. I'm thinking that like they grow up very quickly, it sounds like, because they went from the pale little lizard type of thing to like almost like a dog size. and then a bigger wolf size. So they must grow very quickly. This is obviously a species that they haven't had a chance to do a lot of research in. So watch your back, everyone.
So we see that they set a trap for the last two Gorn, because La'an tells them that all of the hatchlings will fight until only one really survives, and that's like the alpha. Which again, if they have to kill each other, how do they ever work together on a ship? But neither here nor there. Or only the alphas work together, which that seems like a very healthy working environment. 2, we see that Spock is chosen to be the one to sort of like run and be the bait, almost like. And we see him in the ship, like sort of egging on the Gorn, trying to get it to attack him. And then La'an lets him like know, I think it was La'an lets him know, like they're trying to cage you in. And Spock is like full on rage mode. He sort of remembers what happens to Duke to sort of like fuel his rage to start attacking the little Gorn and make it attack him to make the other one come out. And Kirk ends up pulling him out of the hallway right before like the Gorn's attack. And we see that Spock was about to turn on him for a second because like when he let out his emotions, he wasn't thinking clearly. And Kirk, that could have almost been your face. So watch your mouth. You have something to say? You have something to add?
Uhura also ran the first leg of the race.
Oh, yeah, she did.
To help the Gorn, I guess, get down to that corridor where they had the rest of the trap set. So she helped a lot. And at least Kirk, I don't know, gave one compliment there.
He's like, dude, it's me. Because Spock was about to wreck you. He was about to beat the brakes off of you very correctly. Because if you called him a pointed ear computer, like that wasn't just an insult. That was a racist insult. Because you were talking about his race as a Vulcan. Stop it, Kirk. I'm annoyed with you right now. I'm so annoyed. I don't like that boy.
One scene that I really liked was Spock holding like the spear that Buckley held, and he was ready. He was ready. It's just that the Gorn wasn't going down that corridor at that time, but it was really cool to see him like at that stance. And he knew his job.
So everyone, mode. She was in full on warrior mode. I am proud of you, girl. I am proud of you. Do not cross her in a dark alley because she will wreck you. So we hear the two Gorn fight each other, and La'an tells them whoever survives is going to be the alpha, and they set the trap up for the alpha, and La'an's the one who's basically going to be doing the running on this one. They set up the trap correctly. She runs, Himmer does what he needs to do, and she gets into the hatch, closes it. We see the Gorn trying to break in, trying to get to her. And Himmer has like all like the cold air ice, like sort of just come right down onto the Gorn, kills it. And when La'an comes out, sees it's frozen, she takes out like all her anger, starts like whacking it and screaming and destroying it. And everyone is celebrating. We did it! We did it! We did it! Hooray! And La'an says, not quite. Because when Himmer comes out of his little hideaway cube thingy, we see he's not looking good. And he tells them that I need to go outside. And everyone else sort of like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I may not be able to sense them, but I know my body. And so one that tells us the incubation period in his species is very short, because we find out that the spray that he thought was just acid and was their venom was actually how they reproduce. And La'an knew that. She knew that from the beginning, but I don't think she said anything at first. Because she knew how they reproduce.
I just puzzled because so they don't need to procreate with another being to another Gorn. They can just
asexually reproduce. There are some animals out there that can do that.
Yeah,
it's weird, but
it's just like they just didn't know a lot, and she should have shared a lot of this. If she had all this other knowledge from her past experience, she should have debriefed them earlier.
This is why I said they should have got back onto their shuttles. I'm like, all right, bet we need to make a plan of action. We need La'an, tell us everything you know from being in contact with them. What are their weaknesses? They don't have any? Crap. What do they do? How are they aggressive? Like, tell us everything we need to know, because finding out this information, don't get sprayed by them, because that's how they reproduce. And then we see that everyone is coming up with ways to try and save Himmer. And he's like, I know my body. This is how I can save this is how I can save the team. And everyone's like, we can extract them from you. And it's really interesting because you always, like, when you're up against the clock and like your back's against the wall and you don't know what you're going to do and you're afraid of losing your friends, you start saying things that you don't even know if you can do. Because let's remember, how can you extract something you can't find? You can't, like, you just want to cut him open and hope and do like a blind exploration around throughout his body. You don't know, because you can't find them on sensors. And with the way that he's reacting to them being inside his body tells me that they are going to burst out faster, that they don't need as long of an incubation period inside of him. Because we saw Buckley was fine for a while until right before they burst out. And he was acting like Buckley was after only being infected for a couple of hours. And he gives some nice heartfelt words. And I started tearing up. Not for like anything anyone was saying for him, but just like I started liking him. I was like, you're a cool character. And we see him go to the edge of the ship and he embraces the code once more. And then we just see his body fall out the back of the cargo bay.
So maybe he died.
He died.
Maybe he's in one of M'Benga's pattern buffers.
He died.
Like they beamed him out. He's in a pattern buffer.
He died.
That's a solution for almost everything.
He died because M'Benga been not
I know that. You know that. But I was getting connected. I was like, I needed some hope. And
there is none. All hope is dead.
Because when you didn't see a body, it's not looking good. Not looking good.
No, because he's dead. Like there's no hope. He's gone. He's dead. But we also see, so after that scene, they have a funeral for the two who's at what's it and Himmer, because again, you introduce these two characters just for them to die in this episode. I'm so sorry, but like literally, you introduce these two characters. I swear to God, I have not seen them in any other episode.
Yeah.
And you introduced them, congratulated them, promoted him, and then killed them all within 60 minutes. Are you serious? And I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. But then we also see that La'an has a maternal side to her as she goes to Captain Pike and is saying she wants to find the human girl. What was her name? Araya. Find her family, and like the leads that she has are very weak, and so it'll take her some time. So she tells Pike, I'm going to take some leave, and if you don't let me, I'm still going to go. And Pike lets her go. I feel like this was a great sort of resolution for her. I do hope that we see her next season. I doubt we'll see her next episode, but I do hope we see her next season. Because granted, it'll be like a while. And so like maybe if they don't pick up the season 2 right after season 1 and they like, 3 or 6 months have passed. Like, oh yeah, I got Araya with her family. I'm back being security chief. Huzzah. That could possibly happen. I don't think it'll happen for next episode, but I do think that we will see her. I do think we'll see her again. I hope so. She's finally starting to really grow on me. She can't go away now that like I feel like she's a human that I should care about.
Yeah, with this 5-year mission, I think we may not see her next season. I think maybe a season, maybe like in season 3 or 4, or maybe in a Section 31 spinoff or something. So
she would be great in Section 31.
Yes, especially with all her knowledge of the Gorn that she's just not sharing with folks.
Yeah. So we see that the oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I also noticed that Leon's character and Saru's character kind of taken like similar arcs, right? So they found someone that had a younger person that they can mentor that had a similar life journey, and then they're helping to take them back to their family and taking a little sabbatical time away and then coming back. And so it's just interesting to see that parallel, and I hope to see her again, just like I hope to see Saru back on Discovery.
So what do you think is going to happen next? Because I still feel like either we see Spock's brother in the next episode, or he's going to like be the villain in season 2, and I need an explanation about the Gorn. Those are the only two things I'm like waiting for, because like, what WTF? When do they go through their I can fly a plane scenario, like growth?
Okay, I don't want any more Gorn right now. I'm Gorned out. This is like a lot of Gorn, a lot of death. I need to heal, and I think the crew needs to heal. This was a big. They just went through a major crisis. Like a razor. This was horror in real life. Although they were able to show teamwork to work together to get through this, they lost their chief engineer. So they're gonna have to find another engineer. And now that Leon's away on like a sabbatical, they're gonna have to replace her. So they're gonna bring some new people on board and bond with them. And Pike is still gonna ponder his future.
Wondering about his future as if it's like, was it a test and that's not his future? And it was like a test, like he was willing to accept it. Like, part of me wonders, was it really the future, or was it a horrible future? And they were like, you can only take it if you're willing to accept this horrible future, but it wasn't going to happen because you showed yourself honorable. I'm still on the fence about his future. Like, I know something happens to him, but like, again, I'm still holding out hope that the original series does not go the way it's supposed to go. So, you know.
If I was Pike, I would go back there. I would want to learn more. I would journey back there to find out as much as I could from the Klingons and this time crystal. And can I touch another one? Can I touch another one? Like, each one have a different fate. I would just want to know more and more. Kim, just think about it all the time. And in order to have a resolution, you have to go back to the people that guard it and have a better understanding and document. Well, the time crystal telling the truth? I don't know. Like, that's why it should be a personal journey.
Yeah, it was like, I guess until it happens, you never know if it's going to happen. In my mind, I feel like the time crystal was telling the truth in the sense that if he didn't prove himself worthy, this was going to be his fate, even though like the guy said the exact opposite. But again, he was testing him. So I don't know. I just don't want that ending for him. So I'm just going to hold out hope. That's going to be my hope, that that's not his future. But I'm like, can you wrap that up in one episode though? Like, do you think that could be something they could figure out in one episode?
Oh no, I mean, the next episode could be a cliffhanger. It could.
Oh, it better not
be a cliffhanger to season 2. It's interesting how almost all the other episodes built upon this one, and it came together, except for like number 1 story and a few others. So now I'm thinking about maybe it'll circle back to number 1 and her
modifications.
Mutations and changes to make her more powerful and stuff like that, and how it's going to impact maybe him as a captain and his ranker. I don't know.
Because like, unlike Discovery, where they sort of wrapped everything up but still sort of left it as a cliffhanger, it's hard to do that with this show, only for the fact that there was never really a season arc, you know? There wasn't one complete story where every episode held to the same mystery. Because it's a wonder about Pike, but that's not really enough, because otherwise it could be a wonder for the entire 5 years. So it's like, it's not really, there hasn't really been anything in this season that is like a season-long mystery solving it. Like season 1 for Discovery was like the Klingons. Season 2 was Red Angel. Season 3 was What Was the Burn? So like for this Strange New Worlds, there isn't really a season long mystery that needs to be solved. Because like regardless of whatever Pike does, that doesn't change. Like, you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, yes. I was just stating that pieces of some of the previous episodes were integrated with this one. So if you did not watch the last episode, then you would not have made the connection with Dr. Mbenga referring to the little girl as his daughter.
That didn't make no sense to me, but she looked neither here nor there. Keep going.
I think it was just too soon. So, and he needs some time to heal. And then there is others with the Gorn. So if this was your very first introduction to the Gorn, you would not have had all the other context and understand Leanne's childhood with it, and a few of those others that led to this.
No, so I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know what other thing is like big enough to end as like a season finale.
That's why I'm thinking that maybe it's not going to be a true finale. In Star Trek, they've had cliffhangers. They've had to be continued with the next season. So if they're going to follow the original series,
don't do that.
It's possible.
Don't follow the original series. Make your own, forge your own path, Pike.
I would like to say one last thing, my final thought, and that's at the very first time we met Hemmer, he mentioned that he was not in a teamwork, and he had this mental connection with Spock, and then like he said live long and prosper to Spock, and I don't know if there was a mental connection there that was shared as well, and its connection with Uhura.
Because Spock said right before that's a logical conclusion.
Yes.
And then like literally right, he's like, live long and prosper, my friend. I think Spock was actually talking to him, letting him know he's like, it sucks, but it's okay.
But then also it was back to this teamwork thing, and he was back in the cargo bay working with another member of Starfleet, helping to fix something. And he was always about fixing something and talking about his brilliance and flexibility of doing that. So rest in peace, Hemmer.
Pour one out. My final thoughts. Spock letting out his emotions is dangerous because we can see he does not know how to control them. That makes me wonder what's going to happen between him and Nurse Chapel, because he cannot, not all emotions are rage. There are other emotions that he doesn't know how to rein in. I'm a little worried for T'Pring because I'm still team T'Pring, so that hug went on for a little too long. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, and it seemed like she's able to help him control his emotions.
And I don't like that.
Yeah, so that was an interesting twist.
Because I'm still, like, I don't dislike Chapel, but I dislike what they're putting themselves into, you know? Like, it's a situation where like it came out of nowhere. No, it didn't. Because all those little steps that y'all did, all those little hugs and those little lasting looks, it didn't come out of nowhere.
Stop. The kiss.
Okay, so before we get into another rant, I'm going to end this episode here. Okay, so as always, I'm Andrea.
And I'm Monica.
And live long and prosper.